When you ride any kind of public transportation, you're usually fairly safe and get to where you're going without any problems. And while riding the bus is probably one of the safest ways to travel in big cities due to the size and safety of the vehicle, some things can happen that can change that opinion quickly. From bad drivers to bad passengers, we found 5 scary videos caught on buses. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get notified every day for more amazing content. With that being said, let's begin. Number 5. Bus destroyed by tornado. Tornadoes are deadly in that the strength of the winds inside of a tornado is strong enough to pick up and destroy most things in their paths. The flying debris from a tornado is what is the most dangerous, and tornadoes can pick up just about anything from cows, cars, even to school buses. Back on March 30th, 2012, a school bus driver was taking some of the children home from the elementary school that they attended in Henryville, Indiana. Little did the bus driver and the children on that bus realize that there was a deadly tornado which was headed straight towards them. And this was no weak tornado, but an F4 tornado on the Fujita scale, with an F5 tornado being the strongest ever recorded. The bus driver, Angel Perry, was just about 3 miles away from the school and she had 11 children on board. She was listening to the radio and heard reports that a funnel cloud had formed. At this point, she realized that they were in the path of the tornado and stopped the bus for a minute, saying, "Dear Lord, what do I do?" She then turned the bus around and headed back towards the school while reassuring the children that everything was gonna be okay. In the video, she can be heard saying that "a tornado's on the ground, guys, quiet." And she's also heard telling the children that if they have a book to put it over their heads and get in the middle of the bus. The frightening thing is that Perry's bus was just a minute away from the school when she and the children spotted the tornado's funnel cloud. As the bus pulls up to the school, Perry can be heard counting the children as they're running towards the school, some of them crying in fear. She then got everyone into the school as fast as they could while keeping everyone together. Just 3 minutes after the children found safety inside of the school, the F4 tornado picked up the 36,000-pound bus and it was blown away. The camera inside of the bus was still rolling and shows the bus being swept across the parking lot as the windows are blown out and flying glass can be seen everywhere. The bus is then slammed into a car and then lifted and carried across the road where it crashed into a small restaurant. None of the children were hurt, but had they been inside of the bus, they may not have survived. Number 4. Bus swept away by a flood. It was Friday, July 17th, 1987 in the small town of Comfort, Texas, when children who were attending a church camp were headed home. 43 campers were at Pot of Gold Christian Camp and were just getting ready to settle in for what was the final night at the retreat. Just 30 miles away, the Guadalupe River had been hit by a complex of storms which would turn the otherwise sleepy river into a death trap. By morning, the campers were awakened early and told to get packed. The children were asking why they had to leave so quickly, and camp counselors told them that they had to get out of there because the Guadalupe River was flowing over its banks. Once they were on the bus and heading down a hill, they turned the corner only to see water coming towards the bus. The bus then tried to back up and then became stuck. At this point, everyone was told to get out of the bus. This is when the first giant wave of water hit the bus and the children. The water wave quickly swept away the 43 people and scattered them in the water in all directions. A call for help was sent out, and a nearby helicopter that was already covering the flood imminently went into the scene. The pilot and the cameraman had no idea what they were about to witness. When they arrived at the scene, they could see people clinging to trees and said that they looked like ants surrounded by rushing water. Helicopters were sent to try and rescue the people who were holding on to anything they could to keep the 60 miles per hour rushing water from sweeping them away. The situation was critical, as the children were stuck in the trees, and if they were also caught in the trees, they would be cut loose from the chopper. The floodwaters were so high that they were at the tops of the trees. It took many hours for the rescue operation, along with 100 people and 4 helicopters. In the end, 26 people had to be pulled out of the trees, but by 11:30 a.m. that morning, it was all over. 33 people had been saved, but the other 10 were lost. One boy was saved, but his girlfriend was unable to be saved. One family had 4 children at the camp, in which only 2 returned. It was a terrible tragedy that will never be forgotten. A memorial was dedicated to those lost, the survivors, and those who risked their lives to save them. Number 3. Deadly Chinese Bus Crash. We just want to warn you ahead of time that the next video you're about to see is terrifying, and it's considered graphic footage of a terrible accident. It's not certain why the bus driver in this video would pull the kind of maneuver that he did. The video is a security camera montage of the moment when a tour bus driver in China missed an exit, and instead of moving on to the next exit to turn around, well, the bus driver stops the bus on the highway and then proceeds to back up on the highway to catch the exit. For anyone with some intelligence, it should be common sense that the highway was the wrong place to try to get away with such a stunt. In the video, you can see the bus driver of the tour bus come to a complete stop. Then he begins to reverse back down the highway. As the bus starts to reverse, a truck which was traveling at high speeds slams into the back of the bus. As the bus is hit by the truck, it's pushed 165 feet down the road as it overturns. The impact of the rear-end collision smashed all the windows in the bus, and passengers could be seen flying around inside of the vehicle like rag dolls as the bus slides and then flips across the road in what is one of the most terrifying scenes in the video. At one point during the video, it looks as though the bus driver sucked right from the window of the vehicle as it overturns. The driver of the tour bus somehow miraculously survived, but even more miraculously, 10 passengers were also thrown from the bus through the broken windows, with 23 of them being seriously injured. The incident happened outside of Jinhua, China, which is south of Shanghai. The video also shows no one was wearing a seatbelt, or if there were even seatbelts available, as most buses don't have seatbelts for the passenger. However, the driver did have a seatbelt, but wasn't wearing it. The sad thing about this incident is that the only one that lost their life was the driver of the truck who had hit the bus backing up on the highway. Number 2. Bus assistant choking a child. It's probably a good idea that security cameras are placed inside of vehicles such as police cars and school buses, and if you think otherwise, this next piece of video footage will probably make you change your mind. On November 12, 2012, a video was captured of a school bus monitor abusing an autistic child during the boy's 45-minute ride home. It's not known if the supposed school bus monitor knew there was a camera in the bus, but it captured plenty. Apparently, the problem began when the autistic child, who was 13 years old, wet his pants on the bus. Daryl Blue, who was the school bus monitor charged with keeping the children safe and from harming each other, was seen on camera pulling on the boy's harness from behind as he sat behind the child. Autistic children have a special bus they ride that's just for special needs children. The protective harness the child was wearing was meant to keep him safe, but in the video, you can see the bus monitor grabbing and pulling on the harness, which causes the child to scream in pain. Through the 3-minute video clip, you can see Mr. Blue continuously pulling on the harness as the child tries to reach behind him to stop the man behind him from hurting him. The video footage shows the child crying out in pain repeatedly and telling Mr. Blue that he's hurting him. The man was arrested and charged with aggravated child abuse, which is reserved for severe acts which may include any kind of torture and seriously harming a child. The repeated pulling and yanking on the harness left scrapes and bruises around the child's neck. It's possible the child suffered other acts of torture and cruelty. However, Mr. Blue was not alone, as the bus driver was heard in the video scolding the boy for wetting his pants and laughing as the child was being abused. It's not known if the monitor ended up going to prison over the abuse, but the bus driver was fired and neither Daryl Blue nor the driver were ever heard about again. Number 1. Vicious passenger. The last one on our list is almost too crazy to believe, but the incident did happen. It's true. Sometimes people lose their temper, and along with that, they also seem to lose their minds. In April 2017, a video emerged online showing a London bus passenger seemingly going crazy and exploding with rage because the passenger didn't pay for his fare. It's really easy to pay for your bus fare, guys. London has a bus card called Oyster, and you just tap the card on the terminal and you're done. Well, not this guy. The driver told the passenger that he didn't tap his Oyster card. Instead of just paying, the man launches into a 4-minute rant and starts to call the bus driver a bunch of names, including an illegal immigrant, and saying that he would have the bus driver deported. The man continues to scream at the driver to the point of exhaustion and puts down his bags and starts to hammer violently on the driver's protective door, and once again telling the driver to get out of his country while he starts to spit on the door. The passenger then picks up his bags and exits the bus. It seems like it might go well from here, but the violence had just begun. The raging passenger then starts to walk around the front of the bus and open the driver's window, which the driver holds shut. The man then moves to the front of the bus and starts to hammer on the front windscreen of the bus as though trying to break through the glass. He then grabs a hold of the bus's windshield wipers and begins to destroy them, his face red with rage, and continues to punch and kick the bus. The whole thing finally came to an end when 2 passengers get off the bus to attempt to calm the guy down, and after a minute the guy seems calm, but swears at the bus driver one more time just for good measure. The crazy, rage-filled clip ended up going viral on social media, and the incident was reported to the police. Unfortunately, the man was not identified, and it's not known if he was caught and jailed.
Hope you enjoyed the video, Top 5ers. If you haven't already, check out our other channel, Americano, to enjoy even more amazing list videos. There will be a link in the description, so check it out, as well as our other cool